Hello, my name is Greg Higgins, and in this video, we're going to talk about setting up your dimmable LinkUp LED controller and how to sync the remote to the controller or series of LinkUp controllers. Setting up your dimmable LinkUp LED controller is simple and can be done in a few easy steps. Let's simplify the system by breaking it down into its main components. For this system, we need a power supply, a controller, and of course some single color LEDs. Once we have the proper components, we simply need to connect the dots, sync our remote to our receiver, and enjoy the show. To begin, make sure you're using the right power supply for your lights. Since we're controlling the lights on the low voltage or secondary side of our circuit, we should use a non-dimming power supply. If you're unsure about the size and style of power supply to use, check out this amazing video on how to choose the power supply for your LED lighting projects. Next, we have the LED dimmer. Our LinkUp LED dimmers have two options for inputting power: terminals for hardwiring and a 2.1 millimeter barrel plug input. On the opposite side of the LED dimmer, we have the output terminals that will send power to our single color LEDs. There are two outputs on this LED dimmer. Both outputs will follow the controls of the remote exactly the same. Lastly, we have our single color LEDs. Now, our LinkUp controllers have a relatively high capacity. However, there are limitations to how many lights we can power on each receiver. If you are controlling 12 volt DC LEDs, you should not exceed 72 watts per output, or 144 watts per controller. If you're controlling 24 volts DC LEDs, you should never exceed 144 watts per output. That's 288 watts per controller. With that said, one of the great benefits to our LinkUp controllers is that if we run out of capacity or we have multiple areas we'd like to control, we can easily link multiple controllers to a single remote, as long as they're within about 100 feet of the remote's location. So, we have our power supply wired into our controller, and we have wired from the proper output terminals to our LEDs. Now all we have left to do is sync our remote to our controller or controllers. To sync the remote to our controllers, first disconnect power for at least 10 seconds. Then in a moment, we're going to reapply the power and press the brightness increase button shortly thereafter. The timing of reapplying power to the lights and pressing the brightness button can be super sensitive and is oftentimes tricky. Fortunately, I've got a little trick up my sleeve that will save you a lot of time and effort. Rather than pressing the brightness button once and hoping I got the timing right, I like to consistently tap the button as I reapply the power. Most of the time, if I'm tapping the brightness button quickly enough, one of my taps is bound to catch the right moment, and Yahtzee, we have control. This can be done with a single controller and can also be done with multiple controllers at the same time. It's that easy. With any project, large or small, please feel free to give us a call. Our engineers will be happy to take a second look at your materials or help you build an entire project from the ground up. We're always happy to help.